The Isaiah Factor Uncensored starts right now.
And welcome to the Factor Uncensored, a very busy day in the city of Houston because we had a special guest. Take a look. President Joe Biden and First Lady Dr. Jill Biden made a stop in the city this afternoon. Biden was here to survey the damage after last week's winter storm. Now, millions were left without power and water, still some without that water. At least 15 people in the Houston area died as a result of the storm. Biden also addressed the effort to stomp out COVID-19 while in Texas making sure that people get the vaccine. In other news, Hasbro has the world talking as a result of dropping Mr. and Mrs. from their potato head line. They want to be more inclusive for those who consider themselves in this new era non-binary. So you're asking, what is non-binary? We get into it right now. Austin, first of all, from the Montrose Center, let's begin with you. What does this mean for Hasbro to make what they consider a more inclusive toy?
Yeah, well, I think it's really great, for any parent that wants to support their young LGBTQ child. This is a great message of inclusivity. The child can now see themselves reflected, as we have many children that do not identify as male or female, but are non-binary. And so this gives them the ability to see themselves reflected in the toys that they play with, gives them the ability to see their families reflected accurately, and really just it supports them in their overall development as they're coming into their identity as an LGBTQ youth.
Lewis, is this a good move for children to have the option of having non-binary toys?
Not at all. I think this has less to do with the discussion about gender. This comes across as an ideological protest or process against, what the social norms are. I'm mixed, I'm biracial. I didn't have, but for years I could not put that on a form. There was nothing. It was black, white, Latino, non-Latino. That was it. But it didn't make me feel any less than. I don't understand how, and I don't understand the end game, but I don't understand how someone is basing how they feel about themselves on what others feel about them. So the end game, I don't get here. It seems like it's more or less almost like a sympathy parade. What's the end game?
Jazz, what is the end game? Is it a sympathy parade?
I don't think it's a sympathy parade. I think it's more of Hasbro trying to enter this cultural chat that we're having that involves, being more inclusive. And I'm a person that's very open and accepting, but at the same time, I don't think that I personally ever thought about a potato sexual parts or anything like that. It didn't really have to happen. It seems like, they're just doing a rebrand, and this whole thing is obviously getting them a lot of publicity. But I mean, I don't know if it was totally necessary, but I don't think it's going to be anything that's damaging.
I mean, it had a hat and a mustache. It's a boy, it's a mister, and that shouldn't be offensive to anybody. I trust me, as far as, how someone identifies, that's a personal thing. Just give them equality. That's all. Most people don't care what another person's sexuality is, or what they may identify as. But I think the average person is wondering, what the hell do you want from the average people? Do you want us to tout the praises of the LGBT community, or and really?
They want you to know you have options.
You know what? Personally, for me, I identify as someone who does not have options, and just as they expect me to respect their identification, I expect them to respect mine, and that's fair. But
well, and just to be entirely clear here, the Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head, the iconic characters, are not going anywhere.
Right.
Hasbro has made very clear that those characters will still be part of the Potato Head franchise. They are simply expanding the franchise to be more inclusive. So if a child wants to play with a Mr. Potato Head or a Mrs. Potato Head, they can. If a parent wants to buy their child a non-gendered toy to allow them that exploration of their identity, they can do that. But the classic Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head are not going anywhere. This just simply gives children more options as to the toys that they play with.
And Austin, if I can ask a question that Lewis had, what do you want as a community from the public in general?
Well, I think at the end of the day, we want support. The Equality Act was just passed by the House yesterday, and we are trying to get it passed in the Senate. That way, people like myself, non-binary kids, trans people, they can have the same rights as everybody else. We want to be supported in our journey in order to live like all other Americans. But
now,
we
Lewis,
have
is
to
that
start with
asking too
visibility.
much of everyday Americans to allow them to live and be respectful?
I think the average everyday American could not care any less about what somebody identifies as. And furthermore, if there's a child that's rooting their identity in a toy or a TV personality or the words of a TV personality, then they've got a weak home. They've got a whack home if that's what they're rooting their identity in. My identity is not rooted in if somebody accepts me or not. I am me and always will be. And I think the average person feels that way, but I just don't understand and mind you, I feel that the gay community or the LGBT community is separate from this non-binary, fluid, gender fluid. You know, that's like
That's
the
just not
queer
true.
and non.
That's
To me, that's
just
like
not true.
To
Well,
the average person, to
Lewis,
me, that's like the
let
queer
Austin
and non. There's a
answer that
separation.
when he says there are two different groups, Austin. Your response to Lewis' comment there.
Yeah, that's just not true. You know, non-binary, gender non-conforming, gender queer, they're all under the umbrella of queer, which is part of the LGBTQ plus community. There is no two separate communities for gay, straight, lesbian, bisexual. It's all one community. And all that we're asking for in this moment really is just support and visibility.
And we'll continue this very hot discussion on The Factor when we come back. Welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. We're talking about Mr. Potato Head, who's now Potato Head, but still on the package in little writing, Mr. Potato Head and Mrs. Potato Head, and the issue of non-binary and what the LGBTQ community wants from the general public. Lewis, you last left off with your comment you were making.
You know, the word keeps coming up, we want support. To what extent? I don't see how else the average person can support you. If they want to make toys, gender fluid, neutral, absent, whatever they want to do, the 100 different identifications of gender identifications, that's fine. But when you say support, that's really vague. You know, there's no end to this. You know, it comes across like you want sympathy. You want someone to pet you constantly and say, hey, you're okay that you are whatever you decide to be. And no one cares. Really, no one cares. As far as the legislature is concerned, there are already laws on the books to protect you. As a matter of fact, homosexual, and I've said this before, but homosexuals and white women have rolled the backs of black through civil rights movement onto bigger and better things. So what else do you want? Now, if a private company wants to have toys and if they don't want to say Mr. or Miss or Sir or Ma'am, that's fine. That's fine. But where does this end? At what point do we say, you know what? Okay, cool. No one's bothering us. They identify as man and woman. We identify as 100 different things. So be it.
Young Jazz, before we allow Austin, is that your perspective looking in? Or do you see a picture of a group wanting sympathy? What do you see when it comes to the LGBTQ community?
I don't think it's a matter of sympathy. I really think everybody just wants to be treated equally, and they all want to feel like they're included. Like, no matter what your sexuality, whatever you identify as, it's just a matter of everything being equal. Like Lewis has said, like, there was no biracial dolls when he was younger. Well, there should be. Like, it's not a problem with evolving. That's why he says, where does it end? Where does it end? It doesn't end. We're supposed to keep on evolving as a people and as a culture. Like, there is no end.
And a recent poll came out, Austin, that indicated more and more Americans, younger Americans, are identifying as LGBTQ. So it's a sign of things changing, right?
Exactly. And not even just more Americans identifying as that. If you look at the results from another poll by a marketing agency, over 50% of Gen Z actually think that current binary gender norms are outdated and should be done away with. So as we're evolving and as we're adding more people to our community, as more people get comfortable saying that they are LGBTQ, we're also finding that the youth of today do not necessarily agree with just the male or female binary, and they want to be more expansive and more inclusive.
And Austin, before we go back to Lewis, when he says, and once again, I've asked you this, and he's saying it seems like the community is looking for sympathy, and where does it end?
It ends when we have equal rights and protections as everybody else. The fact of the matter is, sexual orientation and gender identity are not federally protected classes under the Civil Rights Act. And that is exactly what we're trying to fight for right now in Congress. We are trying to make sure that in all states, in all 50 states, not just some, all 50 states, LGBTQ Americans have the same protections as other people.
Louis?
At what point ever were the rights of someone who was transgender or gay not been protected federally? That's just not the truth. You know, we can make that up as if it is, but it's just not. I think it's a, you know, it's a false flag. It's not real. You know, and when we look at the end game, and I keep getting back to this end game, I accept. At what point, how is it, should I accept it so that it's acceptable to that community? It's not that I accept it. I don't care. You know, and I think that's the best part of acceptance is that's on you. You know, we're individuals. As long as your rights don't impose upon mine, then I don't have a problem at all. I do not believe that anybody, regardless of gender, race, religion, whatsoever, should be discriminated against. But I just don't understand what this push is. Oh, I have to see a toy that is in drag or non-gender or gender fluid in order for me to feel accepted. You know, it's just the whiniest part of this push to evolve as a society. No one really cares.
Well, guys, we're out of time. Interesting discussion. We can take up the whole show with this, but we just don't have time. So we want to thank you all for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored.